Let's divide some dahlia tubers. I dug all of these up last night or yesterday afternoon and washed them all off. Got them good and clean so I can see what I'm working with. They've dried just a little bit, so now we're going to see how many plants we can get from this one clump. I had tied them all off with flagging tape so I could tell what the varieties were as I was digging them up. Take that off. I like to start out by disinfecting my pruners. This way, if one of the dahlia clumps has some sort of disease like crown gall or leafy gall, I'm not spreading it to the rest of my dahlias. So got some bleach, paper towel, just gonna rub these guys down a little bit. First thing I like to do is get rid of stuff that I don't need, like the roots and some of the long tails on here. Any little tubers that have a broken neck, none of those, if it has a broken neck, it is not going to make a plant next year. So I just go ahead and snip that little guy off. I'm not going to be able to get a whole lot from this clump, but I do see some good eyes on here. You can tell this little guy right here, this little raised bump, this little white raised bump, that is an eye. And that's how you know that the tuber is possibly going to produce a plant for next year. So every tuber you cut off, you want to make sure that it has at least one good eye on it. That way you know it will potentially make a new plant for next year. All right, so starting out, I am going to clip a couple here. Okay. These have really skinny necks, so they might not make it. Usually if they're really skinny like this, they're prone to shriveling up over the winter. But there is a good eye right here, so I'm going to save these two tubers together, so hopefully a better chance of them making it. Next one I see, good eye right there. I see a good eye right here. I also see an eye on this guy right here, this itty bitty little white raised bump here. So I am going to cut these apart. All right, we'll call this number 2 and this number 3. I do see a good eye right there. So we're gonna take this guy probably about right here. And I'm just gonna cut this little guy off. All right, that is number 4. Lastly, we've got this guy here. It's a really nice eye right there. I'm gonna cut this little guy off. All right. Now, this is what's called the mother tuber. This was the original tuber that I planted in the spring. I might save this, but usually these guys are pretty well wasted by the end of the season. So Not sure if it's going to produce a plant next year, but sometimes I hold on to them just in case. But we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 potential plants off of that one clump. So then I will show you how to store them. Now let's store these guys for the winter. I like to write the name directly on the tuber. That way, sometimes if I don't have very many tubers of one variety and not very many of another, I kind of combine them into one box. And with the names directly on the tuber, that keeps everything from getting all mixed up. All right, got the name written there. I've labeled all my other little guys. So I'm gonna put them in, this is just a food storage plastic cheap container that you can buy at Kroger. Probably find lots of them at the dollar store, Dollar General. I like to put them in here not touching. That way, if one of them was to rot, maybe the rest of them would be saved and I wouldn't lose the whole lot of them. You can use, to cover these guys up, you can use vermiculite. You can also use peat moss, dry potting soil. I've never used that before, but it probably would work fine as long as you're not trapping any moisture in your container. I happen to have access to lots and lots of sawdust, so that is my medium of choice. I'm just going to put some over my tubers. And I'm going to place the lid on top, but I don't like to snap it down. I don't like to possibly trap any moisture in there. You don't want the tubers to get so dry that they shrivel up, but you also don't want to trap enough moisture in there that they would rot over the winter. So I like them to be able to breathe just a little bit. So I keep the lid kind of just sitting on top and not clamped shut. Next, I'm going to take my sticky notes, label them so I know what's in here. And I'm going to put these on a shelving unit in my garage. That is storing dahlia tubers for the winter.